Bonjour, and welcome to my podcast, My Way of Thinking, or my what for short, hosted by me, Lee Greeno, here live from the Man Cave every week. It's a bit dark, a bit later in the day, way past my bedtime. Now, My Way of Thinking is all about us, amazing human beings that all have a story to tell. Those stories can vary massively. I always get that massively and verily. But with the guests I'll be interviewing, you'll always be able to take a little bit of our voice or insight into how extraordinary we can all be. Now, remember, there's only 4 rules on the show. 1, no bullshitting. 2, no judging. 3, no negativity. And 4, have fun. Now, today I'm talking with Emma Tomes, and this is a really serious subject. This is all about suicide prevention and mental health. And Emma is just a beacon of light. She's such a great person. She's so passionate about helping people. She's just extraordinary. But you'll hear all about that. Let me stop waffling on and just enjoy this chat. This is me with Emma. Okay, so welcome, Emma Tomes, to My Way of Thinking. How are you, Emma?
I'm all right, Lee. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I love that virtual background.
Thanks. It's almost like I'm in a shed, or I could be in a beach hut. That's the plan.
Every now and again, your arm disappears.
Like a magic fades away.
Well, I had a guest on a few weeks back. Sib, his name was, and he's a great guy. He's made a documentary. He suffers with autism, but brilliant guy. And when I came on, the screen was completely blank. And I said, Sib, what are you doing? And he says, I didn't realise we were using video cameras. And I said, well, it'd be good if we could. And he came on, and his virtual background was the Bahamas.
Oh, nice.
And it looked really good. If you get a chance to have a look, it looked just like it was in the Bahamas. It was a real quality background. It was quite impressive, actually, bless him.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You can be anywhere you want to be now.
I know. I love this background, but I would like to do it. Do you have to have a green screen behind you?
No, I think it depends on the lighting in your room. So
right.
I haven't, although, as you can see, bits of my body are disappearing. So maybe that wouldn't happen if I had a green screen.
The main thing is we can hear you. Right. So thanks ever so much for coming on. We'll talk all about you. This is what the show's all about. First of all, I always like to start on a couple of uplifting stories, should we say, or funny stories, because the news can be quite depressing. Now, so I've seen a couple today, and I thought I would bring them up with you. Now, Mary Killen, second name's Killen, had planned to get her dogs, Bella and Archie, neutered in March, but the appointment had to be cancelled because of coronavirus, okay? So she then spent days trying to keep them apart to prevent the 15-month Bella getting pregnant. I think that they look like Labradors. But despite using nappies and Vapor Rub, I don't know what Vapor Rub's all about.
Oh, that sounds painful.
To keep them apart, Bella and Irish setter Archie, he's an Irish setter, still managed to get together. And when the lab collie cross Bella went into labour in July, Mary was shocked when the puppies just kept arriving, and she had 16 puppies.
That's a lot of love.
16 puppies. She says, we tried to keep Bella and Archie apart. We tried nappies, Vicks Vapor Rub. We separated them for a couple of days. It wasn't to be, though. And the litter began arriving July the 25th. It's understood to be the largest ever delivered in Ireland. These were in Ireland, with 8 boys and 8 girls. Mary said, I was in absolute shock. The vet has told us she was going to have 8 to 10 puppies, and then she's had 16, which is quite a record. How good's that?
I mean, we've got 3 dogs, and I thought that was a lot. Yeah,
what sort of dogs are they?
Well, so we've got 2 pugs crossed with Pomeranians, so they're Pugapoms, and then our latest addition to the family is a full pug. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's a handful, but 16. Woo!
Yeah. Well, I remember the reason I brought this story up is when we've got 2 boxers, and Alabama, she gave birth to pups. And we were up all night with her. And it's quite phenomenal if you've ever done that. Have you ever had puppies with any? Have you ever been there? No. Because they just keep coming out. You don't know how many's left. So it's like 3 in the morning, and I think she'd had like 6. And we were like, that must be it. And then another one came out. I was like, well, when do you know she's... and you just stay there all night. And then in the end, she had 8. We were like, is there any more? They just keep popping out. It's quite phenomenal. But to have that many, that is
full on.
Anyway, and then one more story which made me laugh. A husband who asked his wife to spruce up was asked by his wife to spruce up the garden, decided to surprise her with a 12-foot tall T-Rex instead of a gnome. Adrian Shaw, 52, purchased a 14-stone resin and fiberglass dinosaur for £1,600 in place of a garden gnome. The dinosaur named Dave was just strategically lifted into the garden in Leamington, just up the road. All took place while Deborah was out at work. So then she got home and there's this massive T-Rex in the garden.
Was it trying to like relive Jurassic Park or something? What was going on there?
Well, it made me smile because this is something I'd do. And my wife would come home and go absolutely ballistic. I don't know how he got away with doing. I mean, it looks great. If you get a chance, look on the news.
I'll have a look.
It's a great sculpture, but how he got away with spending $1,600 on it, I do not, because my wife would hit the absolute roof. But it did make me smile. That's something I'd do. Maybe I had a couple of beers at night, like on eBay. Hey, up. Anyway, there we go. A couple of stories for today. Right, so Emma, tell us, obviously, we're going to talk a lot about mental health, charities, things like that. Tell us where it all started. Tell us a bit about you growing up.
Ooh, well, yeah. I mean, I found it really, really difficult at school as I was growing up. And I didn't really know why. I found school really tricky and was quite easily distracted. And it wasn't until sort of later on in life that I found out that I'm dyslexic.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so then that all kind of made sense. But what was really interesting was that I always wanted to become a teacher. That was like my thing at school.
Yeah.
But I ended up going into hairdressing to begin with. Because I was really good at talking, you see.
I see, yeah.
So, yeah, I loved talking to, anyone really that came in the salon. So that was good. And then that kind of being good at talking, I guess, is what got me into sales and then got me into training. So I did eventually become a qualified adult educational teacher. So even though I didn't do well at school, it kind of proves that you can get what you want at the end. It's
yeah,
a little while.
That happens with a lot of kids. I talk about this quite a bit with people, that you don't know what you want when you're younger, which leads to confusion for some kids, which leads to them not learning. And it's not because they're not intelligent. It's just because they don't know what they want to do. They don't enjoy the environment. You know what I mean? But then they come on, they finish school and they thrive. So, it can happen for some. So where were you born? Was it in Coventry? Where were you from originally?
So my parents are from High Wycombe.
Right.
And then they moved to Bournemouth when I was about 2 or 3. So I've been living in Bournemouth since then. But with my work for working in learning and development, I've been all over. So, delivered training in Guernsey, Scotland, Exeter, all over the place.
Oh, right. So you're in Bournemouth now, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
in the shed.
See, because I can see you, I just expect you just down the road. But this is the technology we have.
I know the power of the technology. It's great.
So you enjoy talking. Did a bit of hairdressing. Then you got into. So you eventually got into teaching them, which is what you wanted to do. I take it.
Yeah, I think it was just the idea of being able to help people to understand stuff. Where I'd found it so difficult at school. So I was really good at selling, and then it was like, okay, I was then asked to help other people learn how to sell, and then it just kind of went from there. So then I've trained and taught people in HR, in recruitment, in a estate agency, and then it's kind of moved more into other subjects like mental health and stuff like that. So yeah.
So mental health wise is a big subject. So how do you come from being a teaching to Because, yeah, I know it's about talking, but it's mental health is a very specialised thing. Did something spark your interest? Did you suffer yourself or know someone? What made that challenge?
I guess there's a number of reasons, but the biggest one for me was that it was about 10 years ago now. We lost my eldest son's dad to poor mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so I think at the time when that happened, my son said to me, can we do something? Can we set up a charity? Can we do something?
Yeah.
And at that time, my head was mush. I didn't know where to start. What do we do? And I was dealing with kind of my own stuff and trying to understand how I was going to help him. And there really wasn't any support or help for us at that time. So what happened kind of later on down the line, say a couple of years ago, is that I decided to do a mental health first aider qualification, just to kind of understand, because I thought, well, I've been poorly myself, and having my eldest son's dad be poorly, I need to understand. I felt like it was my duty as a parent to really understand. And because I now have two, young boys, men, if you like, as my kids, and men tend to suffer worse, with talking and getting support and things like that I just felt it was kind of my duty to learn more. And then the more I learn, the more I want to share and I want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably the way you deal with it. You know what I mean? Everyone deals with it differently, but you're actually helping others, aren't you? And that's your sort of journey, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think what I learned from seeing what my son's dad went through was, we all need hope and we all need purpose. And I guess my purpose is helping other people. And if I feel like I'm helping other people, then I've got a reason to get up out of bed every day. If I don't, then it's hard. It's hard to get out of bed, And I've been in a really dark place previously.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Suicide's a funny thing, because it's such a complex thing, and I think people that haven't been touched by it or know anything by it, it's easy to say, to have a bit of a stigma around it. Why would you do that? It's such I think people don't realise, and that's nobody's fault, because if you haven't been touched by it, but it's such a complex thing. It's good that now at least people are talking a lot more about it, whereas back years ago it was just unheard of, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I still think there's more work that we need to do to raise awareness of the impact and how much it is going on, because people don't talk about it still. And there is still a stigma around poor mental health. So I think, when I compare to where we were 10 years ago, I mean, now we have things like Andy's Man Club. So that's, a virtual group that they used to meet face to face. Now they continue to meet virtually. And there's lots of other organisations that have kind of come together to support men. And there's a guy that I know called Mark Williams, who has actually set up Father's Mental Health Awareness Day. So there's a lot more that's happening in this space, but I still think there's more that needs to happen.
Yeah, so. That's you driving on.
Yeah, mum on a mission. That's what I am.
We need to do more. And I think people, and I think you said it a minute ago, people are quite surprised that men, there's far higher rate of men committing suicide than women. But when I heard that quite a while ago, I was thinking, well, that sounds about right to me, because men just don't keep everything bottled up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, but I think men have to put on a front more. You know what I mean? And I think it's such a difficult subject, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, just to share my worries with you, Lee, is that, you know, we're in this environment now. I mean, me personally, I've just gone through redundancy, and I think, you know, we still have men that feel they are kind of the backbone of a family, and they're being relied on to you know, provide an income and things like that, and that they need to be strong, and being strong isn't about talking about how they feel. You know, that's something that we really need to change, because through talking we can prevent poor mental health. So it's I think now more than ever, when we're in such a tricky time of, you know, changing and, you know, potential future redundancies and stuff like that, I think now is when we need to work on prevention, definitely.
Yeah. And what do you think the biggest thing is for prevention? Do you think it is talking?
So I think talking is one of many things that can help people. I think it's about us all having an understanding that we all have mental health, and understanding what we need for self-care. So for me, you know, I've come through depression, and I'm dealing with anxiety, particularly this week with back to school next week. I'm like, so, you know, I know what works for me, and that's taken a lot of learning, and I know that I need to talk. I know I need to get outside nature, and I know that I need, you know, walking the dogs is what works for me, which is why we've got 3, because then I have to get outside, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's about everybody understanding that we all have mental health, and understanding what works for us, and then having people around you that will then support you in doing what works for you. So, you know, having friends and family for me that are happy to come out for a dog walk, you know, that makes the world a difference.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I say talking, but it's like you say, everybody's different. Like with me, I'll go for a run. I don't really enjoy running, but I feel great afterwards. And that clears my head, because I'm a creative. I've always got things all over the place. And I think if I didn't do that, after so long, my mind would just frazzle out. I had someone who talked about meditation the other day. She's coming up on a podcast, and she was great. And we did a bit of a meditation. And I think that's the problem when people have got so many things going on in their mind. If you don't clear it, you can't see clearly. And the mind's a complex thing, and it can just switch off, or something can go wrong. I spoke to a lady who, again, she's coming up on the podcast. She nearly had burnout, and lockdown saved her, because it gave her time where she couldn't do everything. You know what I mean? So that worked for her, just having lockdown. So everybody's different, aren't they? Everybody works differently.
And it's funny you should say that about meditation, because so about 2.5 years ago, I had a lot of things all happen at once. So my mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer. My mother-in-law was about to go in a home for dementia, and my son was experiencing extreme anxiety with school. So now we're getting a lot more help with that. But you know when everything all happens at once.
Yeah.
And my mum used to say it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And unfortunately, I'd left it too long, and I ended up going and having counselling, which worked really, really well for me. But as a preventative, to make sure I didn't go back into depression, I started doing mindfulness. And as I said earlier, when I find things that work for me, I then want to learn it, so then I can share it with others. So, I'm a mindfulness teacher now, so I can teach. I know, it's really cool. So I've just recently started. So I do an 8-week program where we go through all kinds of different mindfulness type techniques and practice stuff that you can do in your everyday. You know, even when you're queuing in the supermarket and stuff like that. There's some really cool techniques that you can use. So Yeah, it's growing in popularity, isn't it,
Yeah,
mindfulness? So, and I can
yeah.
see why.
I mean, I'm a nightmare because I have so many things going on, and I'll say the worst thing possible. I haven't got time. I haven't got time to meditate. And I know how ridiculous that sounds. It really pisses me off. I'm like, Lee, I'm going to slap myself. You know what I mean? Come on, 10 minutes. All
Mm,
you need is 5, 10 minutes. And I suppose the problem is it's the ego, isn't it? It's the ego
mm,
saying, you haven't got time. You won't be able to do it properly. But I will get into it more and more, definitely, because I think this day and age, the way the world moves so fast, you need that time to just step back and hold on. Let's just think. Let me have a bit of time where things can settle down a little bit. You know what I mean?
mm. And I think it's also an like prioritization thing. So I think, there's still this kind of thing around self-care being selfish. So the idea of taking 10 minutes or half an hour for ourselves when we think we should be looking after our kids, or we should be doing the washing, or, getting ready for work next week or something like that. So the idea of taking time for just us, I think can be really tricky. So I think it's that, you know, you'd eat your dinner, right? So why is it not the same level of priority? I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah, that's me. But I will. As I get older, I'm like, right, I'm going to get into meditation. I'm going to get into yoga.
Yeah.
But where I fail, and I think other people may be the same, is unless I can give it a good shot, I don't like to
Yeah.
do it because I don't think it's fair. Like on yoga,
Mm,
I don't want to say I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do it, I know I have to practice it and do it regular. I
yeah.
don't want to just
Mm,
give it a go and the same with meditation. I don't want to start. If I'm going to do it,
mm.
I want to do it properly. But then,
Lee, you should
that,
come on an 8-week course with me. Like, we'll
hey,
get you sorted. Yeah, it's only an hour and a half each week.
how is
That's
it? What
it.
is it on
That's all you've got to
Facebook?
find. Yeah, on Facebook. That would be the dream. So, my background. If I could get enough men together to do a mindfulness course just for men,
Hmm.
that would be the dream. That's like bucket list stuff,
Well,
that would be
if I
amazing.
can help in any way, we will sort
Yeah,
no
that'd be
problem.
really good.
I will be an advocate. Now, so obviously this mental health thing is, something you've got right laser focus.
Yeah.
Do you still do, is that your full-time job now, or do you still teach, or?
Yeah, so I guess it's more of a kind of, I don't know if I could say it's a hobby. I mean, so Talking with Tames is my own business. So what we do though is kind of pretty much most of what we're doing, we're putting back into our community. So what happened was that back in April, I was put on furlough.
No, yeah,
Yeah. And I was telling you that if I don't have a purpose, that's when I dive into depression.
yeah,
So I kind of went into denial and pretended that I still was working, but created my own thing.
yeah.
So that's when I created the Facebook group, Talking with Tomes. So we run regular free lunch and learns. So we do sessions on all kinds of stuff like burnout, and we do some techniques around neuro-linguistic programming, so
Ooh.
NLP, yeah, all kinds of stuff. So we get guest speakers coming in and doing lunch and learns, which is great fun. And then we've been doing some competitions. So we did like a Got Talent competition, and we're currently doing a competition for Winston's Wish. So that's what I've got the t-shirt on today. So our competition is people enter the raffle by donating, and then they win a chance to go on to a suicide first aid course, which is great. And I wish I'd had this course like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
because the course talks you through how to have a conversation with somebody that is contemplating taking their own life.
yeah.
I mean, everyone should know that, right? Because you just don't know when you're going to come into contact with someone that's in that situation.
Yeah.
So we are giving away 18 places on one of these courses, and all you've got to do is donate to Winston's Wish. So
wow.
yeah.
So talking with Tom's then, really, the lockdown has given you that, has pushed you to do that, whereas before you may not have done it.
Oh, no. I mean, it's always something that's been at the back of my mind, you know, but if I hadn't have had that time on furlough, you know, I've met Mr. Motivator. I met Simon Blake, who is the Chief Exec of Mental Health First Aid England. I've met some really awesome people, like I said, Mark Williams earlier, who set up Father's Mental Health Awareness Day, and I would never have had the time, you know. So it's been really good. It's been hard going through redundancy. That's been hard, but yeah, I've learned so much. So
that's good. So going forward, then, what would you like to do with your Talking with Tomes? Would you like to grow it or into a brand, or what's the future? What do you want to do?
So now, so what I've done.
Oh, here we go.
I've bought a VW van camper.
Yes, love
it. And the plan is to take Talking with Tomes on the road.
Yes.
So I want to do like events and go and meet people and you know, raise awareness of mental health. So whether that's through workshops, mindfulness retreats, coaching, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do, and really kind of give back to the community that I'm building.
That sounds awesome.
So, yeah, it'd be amazing.
Have you managed to get any funding for all this?
No, so literally I am doing it through the stuff, you know, through the courses that I'm running. Yeah, is where we're doing it. So yeah, I'm confident we'll get there. We've got the van. We just need to get it all branded up. Yeah, and then get on the road. That
sounds awesome. Well, make sure you let me know if you come in the Midlands.
Of course.
Definitely come to see you. It sounds brilliant.
I've even got a coffee machine for it.
Yeah.
It's important, yeah?
I bet that's like your little... Well, the man cave's my boy's toy. This is your little girl's toy, isn't it? You love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tell you love it. Have you decked it all out nice yet?
Yeah. So I sold my car, resorted a few things, and yeah, this is it now. So just chucking everything into this vision of getting out there. And you know, it'd be great if we could get some kind of Netflix or TV program to follow me around in the bus. You know, that'd be amazing.
That'd be great. Yeah. I've always thought about doing documentaries, but they're just so, oh God, you've got to be so on the ball for them, you know, and you've got to be there all the time, and you've got to be so dedicated. These people that do documentaries, they're so dedicated, but I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen. You've got laser focus and you're making it happen, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, every now and then I'll tag Louis Theroux in some of my posts on LinkedIn and stuff like that, and I'll be like, please just do that, let's hang out, let's sort out a documentary, let's do it.
keep tagging. That's what you got to do. You got to keep plugging away, ain't you?
Definitely.
So you've got lots going on with Facebook and with. Are you branded it anywhere else, or is it just on Facebook? Is it just a Facebook group at the minute?
So at the moment, we're just on Facebook. We're working on the website at the minute, and then I'm on LinkedIn as well. So people connect up with me there as well. Yeah,
the thing with social media, there's that many platforms. It's knowing which one, isn't it? It's just a nightmare. Like with this podcast, it's like I've done Twitter, Facebook. I'm thinking now I've got to do Instagram. I've only got so many hours in the day.
I know, and it's learning it all, right? You know. So learning all the differences between groups and pages and all of that. So yeah, but Facebook for me is, you know, and it gets quite a hard press, really, Facebook. But when I was going through a really difficult time with my son, and as I said earlier, with my mum, there were some really good Facebook groups that helped me. So it just made sense for me to use Facebook as a starting point.
Yeah.
and we've got over 700 members. So
Really good.
yeah, it seems to be going all right.
Yeah. I mean, I have quite a few bits and bobs on Facebook for my films and stuff like that. And my son always says, "Oh, no one goes on Facebook anymore." Well, I said, well, they obviously do, just not young little squirts like you that are all into
Yeah,
Instagram and that rubbish.
I know.
WhatsApp, rubbish.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember who it was. Someone said to me, like, Instagram is for under 40s. And I'm 40 next year. So I was like, so is there any point me trying to break this Instagram market? Because I'm 40 next year. So maybe I just need to hang out on Facebook and,
So as part of your mental health, so you've done courses. So over time, you've been doing different courses. What sort of courses are out there for this then?
Well, I mean, so there's loads of stuff where you can kind of just get basic understanding of mental health awareness. I really would recommend the mental health first aid qualification, which is through Mental Health First Aid England. That's where I did mine.
Do you do that? Do you do that online?
Yeah. It's brilliant. So you can now do that is converted to a virtual session. So you can do some e-learning, and then you can also join a group. And actually, through Talking with Tones, we provide a discount if you come and join the Facebook group. So we can give people discounts on that.
All right. Okay. So how much is it?
Ooh, you'd have to come to the group to find out.
Oh right. Okay. Is it a day course or what? Just tell me a bit more, because it's quite an interesting course.
Oh yeah, it is a really good one. So it is effectively, the hours are a full day, but it can be split. So my husband's just done the course, and he did it in two 2-hour chunks, and then a half day, and then you do study in between. So you can, it depends on the tutor and how they do it. And then there is the suicide first aid course, which is the one that we're giving away free. So 18 spaces as part of the raffle for Winston's Wishes. So Winston's Wish is a charity that helps children that have lost parents through poor mental health. So yeah, we're giving those spaces away for free. So it's really worth signing up for.
Oh, definitely. How would people sign up for that?
Literally, if they come over to the Facebook group, we've got a Just Giving page. So if people enter by paying into the Just Giving page, and if they email me just saying raffle, then I know how to get back in contact with them. And we've got 18 spaces. Yeah.
So Winston's Wishes then, where's this come from? Who's Winston? What's happened there?
Well, I'm assuming it's all based around a family that lost somebody through poor mental health.
Yeah.
And the work that they do, there's some really great videos on YouTube about some of the work that they do with families and educating people around grief. So it's really worthwhile checking it out. And I think why I decided, because we were gonna do this raffle, and we were looking at what charity should we go for, and there just aren't that many. So when I think back to 10 years ago, when my son was going through what he was going through, there was no support, and we had no idea where to go to. So that's what's great, is that there are now charities like Winston's Wish. So
definitely, because like you say, when something so terrible happens like that, everyone is affected, the whole family. So, for yourself, you've got to deal with it. Then you're thinking about your children. The children are trying to deal with it. So charities like this are just so important. And like I was saying earlier, there was nothing like this about years ago. So it's just great. There needs to be more charities like that, But Winston's Wish, is it Winston's Wish or Wishes? There you
Winston's
go. Winston's Wish. Love that.
Giving hope to grieving children.
Brilliant.
What a lot of people don't realise is what you were talking about there, about the friends and family of people that have gone, is that they are at a higher risk of getting poor mental health and potentially losing their life as well to poor mental health.
Yeah.
So the earlier that family and friends can get support or talk about what's happened, the better. So that's really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's great. Winston's wish. I'll remember that. So going forward, we've talked about your little camper van.
Yeah.
When are you getting on the road then? Next year, this year? What's the plan? I suppose you can't plan too much because of COVID.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think the thing that spurred me on, and I think this is, where friends and family and people around you, when people kind of believe in you, it really makes a difference. So, I mentioned we've got 3 dogs earlier.
Yeah.
So there's a lady that helped us train our dogs. Her name's Debbie Lucken, and she runs a company called Poco Dogs. So she runs a dog training company. And she said, Emma, you can have a stall at our event. And that was it. That's what spurred me on. And I was like, well, we've got an event that we need to plan for now.
Yeah.
So I think that's like April next year. And then we just need to get more in the diary, as stuff opens up more. But we've been offered some like different locations to do retreat days for kind of like mindfulness retreats and stuff like that. So we'll be out in the van quite a bit.
Lots going on. I think I think this year's going to be a bit all over the place, but hopefully come sort of January there'll be a bit more normality.
Yeah.
And we'll know where we are, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
But we all moan about this lockdown, but then it's pushed you to create something like this. So you've got to take the good out of it. It's strange the way it's worked, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's definitely put a spotlight on mental health, and that can only be a good thing, right? It can only be good that more people are talking about mental health. So, and we've got World Suicide Prevention Day on next week, so the 10th of September.
Thursday.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a bit about that. What's that? Obviously, I know.
Yeah.
But what do they do?
So the whole idea is raising awareness around, if we can look after our mental health, we won't fall ill. And that's what the prevention is all around. So it's quite nerve-wracking because it's going to be an event that I'm going to be hosting that night. And so I've been prepping for that this weekend.
Is it live?
Yes, it's going to be
Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah, we could do that actually. That's a good shout. Okay.
Pressure on.
Yeah, but we've got all kinds of different people coming along to that event, and the idea is to really share what works for you. So self-care tips, all kinds of different apps. So people are going to be talking about what apps help them, what techniques help them. So it's going to be a really positive, upbeat event around how can we stay well, which is going to be good fun. But I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. You're a natural.
Oh,
you'll be fine. Well, obviously, this podcast will be released on the Wednesday. So if people are listening now or watching, make sure they go over to your Facebook page and get stuck into it, because it's all good, and make sure that everybody raises awareness. So those kind of events, do they happen? Is that something that you just said, right, we're going to do an event on this day, or is it something that you do quite regular? How does that work?
So, so I just have this thing about doing loads of events. So what I tend to do is look at what's happening, so what's going on. So obviously World Suicide Prevention Day is on the 10th. And then in October, we've got Mental Health Awareness Day. So it's trying to kind of use events for that kind of thing. But within the Facebook group, we do all kinds of different events, so that it's not always directly around mental health, but there's always some kind of link, right? So
that's good.
It's good
so
fun.
What you do, you're doing, just trying to keep things going, keep adding, doing different events, and keep pushing, which is good.
Our Facebook members love getting involved. So we've got quite a lot of small businesses and sort of large businesses that donate prizes for different competitions and things like that. So that's quite nice, is that you get that real sense of community, everyone trying to help each other out. And we've got some businesses that have offered different discounts on stuff that for people that have joined the Facebook group. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, good. Right, so any advice? So obviously mental health is such a widespread, all-consuming thing. But I suppose, because I always ask people, what advice would you give? I suppose, what advice would you give to people? Well, there's two things really. What advice would you give to people who want to get involved in mental health and do what you're doing? And also, what advice would you give to people who may be suffering from mental health? What advice can you give us?
Oh,
I know it's difficult,
so
isn't it?
I think for me, it's really working out what gives you purpose and what helps you get out of bed every day, and really thinking about what's important in your life. And that's why we like to do a lot of the events and things like that in the Facebook group. So everyone is welcome in our Facebook group. And if there's something in particular that you want to do, so if you want to host an event, or you want to do, start a fitness class or something like that for our group, I'm always up for helping people to do that.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for people. But I think, what would be my advice if you're feeling, or
I suppose you're feeling bad, but if you think someone who's feeling bad.
Yeah, I think, calling it out and saying, look, you don't seem your usual self. Let's talk about it, and letting people know that you're there with them. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah,
because it can be lonely. It can be really lonely. So
yeah, it's a bit of to be fair to you, it's a bit of a shitty question that I asked you there, really, because there's no real definitive answer. The answer is doing what you're doing now, raising awareness and trying to make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? You can't give advice. It's not like, you know what I mean? Give me advice to become a writer. It's not like that. It's such a difficult subject, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think and that's why we went for Talking with Tones. The more we talk about it, the more things become normalized. So, talking about if you've had experience of depression, or if you have lost someone to poor mental health, the more I talk about it, the more people talk to me about their experience. And I think it just, it becomes normal to be able to talk about this stuff. And that's when we get rid of the stigma. And really think, and what's brilliant about that mental health first aid qualification is that you understand what language is good and what language isn't helpful. So, some of the things that I think, when I think about my eldest son's dad, some of the stuff that people used to say, like man up, pull your socks up, get it together. He tried so hard to get it together and then felt there was no choice. So, the last thing you need is someone then saying that to you. So really thinking about what you say to your family or your friends that are having difficulty is really important.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, one thing I would say, and I it has affected me and people around me, and I'm no expert on it, but what I would say is if you are suffering with any kind of mental health, you're definitely not alone. I think it's so easy to think, I'm a bit weird, I'm not going to say anything. You'd be surprised that when you tell someone, other people are thinking and feeling exactly the same as you. So because I think that's the worst thing. If you feel really suffering and you feel alone, you can get withdrawn, and you know what I mean? And that's what makes you talk. If you realise that you're not weird, you're not freak. We all have silly thoughts. We all, so I think that'd be my bit of advice. Would you agree with that? Or
I think it's great. It's great meeting other people and talking to other people that are experiencing similar things to you, because it normalizes it. So yeah, definitely. I'm all about talking. So if you know, and sometimes it's just being part of a conversation and not necessarily talking, just being there in the background. And we see that a lot on Facebook. You know, we have a lot of members that don't necessarily post a lot or comment on a lot of stuff, but then they'll get in contact with me and be like, Emma, I'm so pleased that you've done this.
Yeah.
But they're like, they're in the background, you know, which is fine. You know, that's cool. That's okay.
That's good. Yeah. But as human beings, we're strange creatures, aren't we?
Keeps it interesting, that's for sure.
It does, it does. Now, I always ask my guests to come to the show with a favourite. It can be a film, a song, TV show, food, anything. The only thing I ask is that it's accessible by people. So if you say, oh, I love this film, people can download it or watch it, whatever. So have you brought a favourite to the show?
Yeah, so it's a song actually, and I didn't mention this. So as part of this meeting loads of different people in Furlough, I met a guy called Kev who owns a radio station called Hot Radio.
All right.
And we got chatting, and he got me on the station, and so he's now offered me my own show, which we're going to start in October. And as you can hear, like the anxiety in my voice just talking about that, I'm like, oh my goodness. So when I went to go and meet him, I asked him for a song request. Now, I love 90s like dance music.
Oh yeah,
takes me back, makes me think I'm young again. And one of the songs that I absolutely love is You've Got the Love. So it's by Candy Stratton.
Yes.
Such a tune. So I'm in this radio station with Kev from Hot Radio, and I'm there like dancing away to this song, thinking I'm back in the club when I was like 20, you know?
Yeah.
But it's it really does describe, if you get a chance to listen to it, it really does describe the feelings that I've had, you know, through the dark moments and then back through, you know, it's that, you know, people have got the love, they have. But it's about sort of reaching out and getting the help. So yeah, always a feel-good tune, a good one to listen to.
Yeah, classic. You know, I ask people for favourites, and most of the time they'll say something on TV or a film. Very rarely do they say songs, which surprises me, because I think songs are such an amazing thing.
Oh, yeah.
You hear a song and it can just take you back. I mean, you know, sometimes we'll have parties here, we'll put the YouTube on and we'll put 80s on. And you listen to some of the songs, you're like, yeah, I love it. It just takes you back to that moment. Music's so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I'll listen to
that.
So
yeah, definitely. Put it on.
I'll listen to that later in the car. Now, so if people want to get in touch with you, so it's Talking with Toms on Facebook. You just put that indie and the group comes up.
The group will pop up. Or if you're on LinkedIn, just check me out. So it's Emma Tomes. Come and connect with me, and we can talk about training or coaching or anything that you might be interested in.
You on Twitter? You on Twitter or Instagram?
No, I'm not. I've just started on Instagram, but
I hate Instagram because I'm so crap on it, and all these people I've got 50,000 followers, and I've got like 10, and they're like, you know, my son.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think I've got, so, you know, I mentioned I've got 3 dogs. So I think my future daughter-in-law has set up Minnie. So her name is Minnie, but we call her Mindful Minnie. And I think she has got more followers than I have on Instagram, bless her. So she's a little white pug, and she's a great example of mindfulness, because she doesn't care about tomorrow. All she cares about is right now. Am I hungry? Am I having a cuddle? Yeah. So I think dogs are great for mindfulness.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I put a picture on today of Walter. I was having a cup of coffee on the deck, and Walter just comes straight up to me. I was holding my camera. I thought, right, I'll take a picture. Beautiful picture of him. And we've got cats, dogs, chickens.
Oh wow.
But the animals are great because they've got no issues, like you say, and they're great for mindfulness. I know not everyone can have animals. They are hard work. I'm not saying get animals if you know, but they do bring a level of comfort sometimes. You know, when you need a
Yeah.
bit of clarity.
Yeah.
Even the chickens make me laugh. They're a pain in the arse, but
Yeah, I mean, even if you can't have your own animals, even if you could borrow someone else's and take it for a walk or whatever, you know,
yeah,
it's I
yeah,
think I think animals are great and nature's great. But yeah, they have a way of like when you're taking life too seriously, and then they'll do something, and then
yeah.
it just
Chill out.
breaks the mood, which is good.
Yeah, I think sometimes we can be a bit too materialistic in this world, and you look at like the
Mm,
dogs, like you say, all they need is a bowl of water and some food, a
that's
couple of
it.
rich tea biscuits now and again. But if I said to Walter, "Oh, well, you've won £1 million," that's my boxer, by the way, not my son. Uh,
Yeah, it'd be a whole other story, wouldn't it?
if I said to him, "You've just won the lottery, Walter, what do you want to buy?" I say, "I've got everything I need." Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
we should be a bit
yeah,
more like that sometimes.
definitely. So
Bless him.
yeah, so we use we talk about Mini quite a lot when I do mindfulness teaching and stuff like that, because there's just so much you can learn from them. The fact that they take notice of the here and now. They're not worrying about whether what happened yesterday. They're over that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from dogs.
Excellent. Right, now I always ask people if they've got sort of a poignant note or something they want to finish the interview on. Is there
Mhm.
anything you want to bring up or you'd like to say?
Oh, that's like a real opportunity, isn't
Yeah.
it?
You're going to turn around and say no, nothing.
I just want to kind of repeat what you said earlier, Lee, is, you might think you're on your own and you might think nobody else could possibly understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
But you'd be really, really surprised if you reached out, whether you do it on Facebook or there's some other really great online things that you can do that are anonymous, like Ellie Friends through Mind. There are other people that are experiencing something similar to you. So it's going back to that. You don't have to feel alone. I think that would be my key thing for for today, I think.
Yeah. Always reach out if you can.
Yeah.
And now they've got your little Facebook group to join.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Now.
come along.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, look, it's been an absolute joy to speak to you, Emma. Seeing what you're doing, you're just going to go from strength to strength because you've just got that. I meet people like you, and it makes me sick how goddamn resourceful and clever they are because you're just, getting this little van potted around. You're making such a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's never enough though. I want more.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can we reach more people? How can we do more? It never feels enough, and I think that's something to a little watch out for me. Because there's so much I want to do, and there's so many people that we can help. So yeah, it's good.
There is, and you're always gonna, because of your passion, you're always gonna feel that way. But remember, if you help one person,
Yeah.
that's enough. But good for you for striving and trying to make a difference, because you'll have this ripple effect with all these other things that you're getting involved in, and they're all doing good things. So and you're leading that, which is great. So I can't wait to see this van. Definitely come to the
Yeah.
Midlands.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to, won't we?
Yeah,
Get
brilliant.
in the van.
You make sure you keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a cracking job. I will share as much as I can on my social media. And like I say, and then this is going to be coming out Wednesday. So for anyone that needs to know, for Thursday, Suicide Prevention Day. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So the best place to go is to basically go onto your Facebook group
Yeah,
to see
we can help you from there.
see what's going on. Is that all right?
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Lee.
Excellent. Well, look, thanks so much for coming on. Make sure you come back on next year when you totter around the UK.
Yeah.
We'll see how you're getting on then, because I've got a feeling, you're going to have so many more followers, and it's all good stuff. Okay?
Yeah, we'll do it from the van, shall we?
Yes,
We'll do the next
definitely.
interview from the van. I'll make you a
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Love it. Excellent stuff. All right, Emma, thanks so much for coming on, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Lee. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, so that's it. Massive thanks again to Emma Tomes for joining me today, and also for you listening. A very, very important subject, and Emma was just brilliant. Just to reiterate what she's saying is, if you go into Facebook and you go on Talking with Tomes, there's a page there which you can join or like or follow, whatever you need to do. It's a really interesting page. She's already got quite a good following, but if we can all just get on there, you know, whether you know someone with mental health or you suffered yourself or you don't, it's just raising awareness, which is a great, great thing. And she's so passionate. So I really, really hope she does well with this. Now, this podcast is coming out on Wednesday. She is holding a World Suicide Prevention Supper at 7 p.m. on Thursday. You can find all the details about that on her page. And she's raising money, like she said before, for Winston's Wish, which is a charity that helps kids, grieving children that may have lost parents, to suicide and things like that. So it's so important. So yeah, make sure you get onto that page. So thanks ever so much for listening today. I know it's been, always try and use a bit of humor, but it is such an important thing. And if I'm sure if she can just help one person through this podcast, she'll be very happy. I'll be very happy. So make sure if you know someone, you say something, or if you are struggling, just talk, you know, and put yourself out there because you're not alone. Okay, make sure you follow the podcast. Coming up over the coming months, there are going to be some even more extraordinary interviews. The podcast will be streaming on the usual platforms, including iTunes and Spotify. So please leave a rating on there and subscribe because it helps with a good following. To keep up to date or message me, you might want to be a guest yourself. Then follow me on Facebook. It's My Way of Thinking Podcast. And on Twitter, it's My Way of Thinking without a G on the end, a 3 instead. Don't ask. Also, every week I put the whole conversation on YouTube, which if you put My Way of Thinking Podcast on YouTube, we're on there. Subscribe to that too. Whew, I need a break. Okay, thanks ever so much for listening in, and I'll speak to you soon.